Forest Acres to give our invocation.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for the gift and the privilege of being with you and giving this invocation. May those who are broken in body or spirit, please, God, grant those of us who are gathered here the wisdom to bring healing and blessing to those who suffer in their hour of need. May they find healing and hope in the arms of the divine Holy One. Preserve their lives and heal their wounds, be they physical or psychological, so that they may return to their homes in harmony with their families and in their community. For those who are firmly convinced that their pathway is the only way, the only correct way, please, God, break their hearts so they can feel compassion for those who are in pain, the lonely, the abused, the homeless, and the hungry. As one great rabbi once said, there is nothing so whole as a broken heart. With such understanding, there is no limit to what we can do to bring great healing to our broken and ailing world. These are difficult days, Lord God, and we pray that those who are being held captive, may their release come soon so they can be reunited with their loved ones and begin to heal from their torturous abduction. And for those who sit in the sacred chamber where decisions are made for our community, God, please, infuse their minds and hearts with vision and hope, wisdom and compassion. Bless them so that they may serve this community and make it a model of dignity, equality, and safety for all of your children. And as always, God, we place our hope in you to help us find and speak the words of kindness, to treat every person with the knowledge that they, like us, are made in your image. Then, Lord God, when we do well, please make it so that you shall smile on all of your children. And when this life comes to its expiration date, you can welcome us home with the words, "Well done, my son. Well done, my daughter. I am proud that I gave you the gift of life and that in that process you made the world a better place." And let us say, Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. And now, if you're able, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Councilman Branham, and Rabbi, thank you for those sage and very aspirational words. Next item on the agenda is item 4, presentation of resolutions. That's item 4A, a resolution recognizing the Richland County Public Works Department's Solid Waste and Recycling Division that will require a vote. So at this time, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And that resolution will be read by the Honorable Jessica Mackey. Madam Vice Chair, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas the Richland County Solid Waste and Recycling Division is committed to efficient management of the county's solid waste stream and to providing high-quality residential solid waste management services for the residents of Richland County. Solid Waste and Recycling extends its mission through education on a wide range of waste management topics, including proper recycling, the efficient and proper disposal of household garbage and yard waste, and safety precautions for handling hazardous household waste. Solid Waste and Recycling maintains multiple work crews to ensure operations run as smoothly as possible during holidays, inclement weather, natural disasters, and community crisis situations. Solid Waste and Recycling manages the operations of county landfills as well as drop-off and recycling sites for residential and commercial customers. Solid Waste and Recycling provides guidelines on proper disposal of bulk items and the lawful and safe transportation of large debris loads while enforcing laws and ordinances against littering and illegal dumping. Solid Waste and Recycling routinely provides special services for residents who physically cannot move garbage or debris curbside for pickup. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Richland County Council members Jason Branham, Derek Pugh, Yvonne McBride, Paul Livingston, Allison Terratio, Don Weaver, Gretchen Barron, Overture Walker, Jessica Mackey, Cheryl English, and Shakise Newton recognize and honors the Richland County Solid Waste and Recycling Division for its outstanding contributions to the county.
And what we would do, since we've got a resolution and we have a few proclamations, we'll just get through the reading of all the resolutions or proclamations, and then at the end, we'll make our way over toward the county seal where we will have the photo op. All right, next item on the agenda is item 5A, presentation of proclamations. A proclamation recognizing the Midlands Beautiful and declaring November 15, 2023 as America Recycles Day in Richland County. And it's also my understanding that Councilman Pugh would like to have his name added to that proclamation as well. So let the record reflect that Councilman Pugh's name has been added to that proclamation. And that will be read by either Ms. Newton or the PIO office. Ms. Newton, will you read it tonight, read this proclamation, or?
Mr. Chair,
I will.
Oh, Mr. Ratio, I'm sorry. Mr. Ratio, you recognize.
actually, I think Ms. Newton wanted to speak up.
Ms. Newton?
I'm happy to read the proclamation.
Okay, you're recognized.
Whereas Richland County government, as a responsible steward of the environment, promotes the proper disposal of litter and the importance of recycling through community education. Did I get sent the wrong one? No, sorry. Curbside collection of recyclables and the operation of recycling centers. And whereas maintaining effective countywide recycling initiatives requires the support and participation of residents, businesses, and environmentally focused community groups. And whereas Keep the Midlands Beautiful, established as an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful in 1989, engages its mission to educate and inspire the Midlands to invest in our communities through litter prevention, recycling, beautification. And whereas Keep the Midlands Beautiful guides the work of more than 280 volunteer groups, schools, and businesses and community residents, all working together to remove litter from roads and waterways, implement recycling programs, and pursue beautification projects. And whereas Keep the Midlands Beautiful continuously strives to educate Midlands residents, businesses, and community organizations through beautification, conservation, and sustainability programs. And whereas through the organization's mission and community support, hundreds of thousands of pounds of litter are removed each year from our greenways, streets, lakes, and parks, making Richland County a more beautiful place to live and visit. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Richland County Council members Jason Branham, Derek Pugh, Yvonne McBride, Paul Livingston, Allison Terratio, Don Weaver, Gretchen Barron, Jessica Mackey, Cheryl English, and Shakise Newton recognize Keep the Midlands Beautiful for its contributions to Richland County and does hereby declare November 15, 2023 as America Recycles Day in Richland County. Council encourages all county residents to do their part to keep the Midlands beautiful.
The next item on the agenda is item 5B, Family Court Awareness Month, and that will be read by the Honorable Jessica Mackey. You recognize, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness on the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interest of children. Whereas the mission at the Family Court Awareness Committee is fueled by the desire to create awareness and change in the family court system for the conservatively estimated 58,000 children a year ordered into unsupervised contact with abusive parents, while honoring the hundreds of children who have been reported as murdered during visitation with a dangerous parent. And the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness of the importance of empirically based education and training on domestic violence and child abuse, including emotional, psychological, physical, and sexual abuse, as well as childhood trauma, coercive control, and post-separation abuse for judges and all professionals working on cases within the family court system. And whereas the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness on the importance of using scientifically valid, evidence-based treatment programs and services that are proven in terms of safety, effectiveness, and therapeutic value. The mission is to educate judges and other family court professionals on evidence-based, peer-reviewed research. Such research is a critical component to making decisions that are truly in the best interest of children. This research includes the Adverse Childhood Experience study by investigator Vincent Felitti, the Kaiser Performance CDC Child Custody Evaluator's beliefs about domestic abuse allegations, and child custody outcomes in cases involving parental alienation and abuse allegations. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Richland County Council members Yvonne McBride, Paul Livingston, Allison Terratio, Dawn Weaver, Gretchen Barron, Jessica Mackey, Cheryl English, and Shakese Newton recognize November as Family Court Awareness Month. We encourage all residents to support their local community efforts to prevent the harm of children in the hands of family members and to honor and value the lives of all children.
The next item on the agenda and the final proclamation is 5C, a proclamation recognizing Share Operations Care. That would be given by the Honorable Cheryl English. Councilwoman English, you recognize, ma'am.
Proclamation recognizing Share Operation. Whereas Share Operation Care stands as a symbol of hope, solidarity, and altruism. It engages in a myriad of activities, including community service projects, volunteer initiatives, and charitable endeavors, all aimed at nurturing empathy and mutual concern among our citizens. And whereas Share Operations Care is committed to inclusivity, steadfastly rejecting discrimination based on gender, race, or religion. It calls for a focus on empathy and the creation of positive impacts in people's lives, thus enhancing the collective moral of our great state. And whereas the Global International Alliance and its esteemed alumni will serve as inspirational pillars, leading and endorsing Share Operations Care events and initiatives, distinguished recipients of humanitarian doctorate degrees from the Global International Alliance will guide our community outreach, humanitarian aid, and acts of kindness. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Richland County Councilwoman Cheryl English hereby declares November 18th as Share Operations Care Day and recognizes the importance of compassion, unity, and altruism in our society. We encourage faith-based organizations, business owners, political leaders, veterans, educational groups, civic organizations, and individual residents of Richland County to embrace kindness as a core principle in our lives.
Let's begin with the first item, which is on the resolution, item 4A. Madam Clerk, if there's anyone here from Public Works, well, I see Director Maloney, but we can all move toward the county seal.
Actually, you should say, keep the Midlands beautiful.
Good evening. I'm Trouty. I'm the director of Keep the Midlands Beautiful. And as a small nonprofit, the financial contribution that you make to our organization makes a tremendous difference. It allows us to provide litter prevention, recycling, beautification, and environmental education programs in Richland County. So on behalf of myself, our growing staff, our 5,500 volunteers, and the residents of Richland County, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Have a good evening.
Can you go through it? You can walk? Oh, okay. Okay.
All right, folks, right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Say, Mr. Weaver, come this way. I'm losing you back there, Ms. Mack. All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna do one more. Thank you.
I am Dr. Monica Lamb, and on behalf of Share Operations Care, Dr. Sweets and Dr. Sammy Ways, we'd like to thank you guys for this great honor and appreciation. We've already started off with a good start. We have 100 food bags already filled and 100 toiletry bags already filled, and we have more donations coming in. So send some people on out.
Good evening, council members. If I could have a minute of your time. My name is Ali Hausner. I'm a coercive control coach and child safety advocate, bringing serious awareness on child safety issues that are happening in our family courts. In 2012, I started my family court system journey. 10 years later, my court case ended. I had no idea how to protect my child. Family court rulings are widely based on one parent getting a fair share of parenting time with the child, more than the safety of the child with the parent. A lot of people are really shocked to find out that most states, including our own, judges make rulings that impact children's lives, but the judges have 0 mandated hours in domestic violence, childhood trauma, coercive control, sexual abuse, and the list goes on. A George Washington University law study found that more than 50% of the time, when allegations of child abuse are raised, the courts are switching physical custody of the child to the abuser. Domestic violence is about power and control. The desire to maintain power and control doesn't stop when somebody divorces or separates. The family court system becomes a new playground for an abuser, and it's a highly effective platform for abusers to manipulate untrained judges. Our children's lives are literally dependent on the courts becoming educated on these issues. This proclamation means the world to me and to many other protective parents fighting right here in Richland County and in the state of South Carolina. Thank you so much for this opportunity and letting me speak for so long, and your willingness to listen and support this proclamation. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 6, approval of the minutes. Item 6A, regular session from October 17th, 2023. Any changes, additions, or deletions to those minutes?
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item on the agenda, 6B. These are the minutes from the special call meeting, October 24th, 2023. Any changes, additions, or deletions? There being none, Madam Clerk? No, I'm sorry.
Mr.
Entertain a
Chair.
motion. You recognize
Chair.
Ms. Newton? You
Move to
recognize?
approve item 6. Okay. Move to approve items 6B and C.
Second.
Well, before we get to C, are there any changes, additions, or deletions to items 6B and C? All right, there being none. Ms. Newton, I'm assuming that's your motion to approve items 6B and C. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded by Ms. Barron. All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 7, adoption of the agenda. Any changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? There being none, entertain a motion.
Move for adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey, English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Our next item on the agenda is item 8, report of the attorney, county attorney rather, for executive session items. Mr. Wright, it appears that you have a litany of items this evening for executive session, but you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair, there are 6 matters for executive session. 8A, Blythewood Property Retention Ponds pursuant to SE Code Section 30-4-70, subsection A2 and 5. B, Personnel Matter, Grievance Reviews and Recommendations, subsection A1. Personnel Matters, C, Personnel Matter, Discussion and Legal Advice concerning duties of the County Administrator regarding Richland County Code Section 2-79 and Section 2-80 pursuant to A1. B was A1 as well. D, Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center pursuant to subsection A2. E, letter of support for the University of South Carolina purchase of real property from the Development Foundation, subsections A2 and 5, and public-private partnership pursuant to subsection A2 and 5.
Right, how many of these items involve outside counsel?
A and F.
So A and F, both of those involve outside counsel?
Yes.
All right, well, I entertain a motion to go into executive session with respect to items 8A and 8F.
So moved.
Second.
Also, just for the record, I'd like the public to know that the reason that we're going into executive session, this evening is because of our rules, but also because of, state law permits governing bodies to go into executive session to discuss items that are of sensitive nature. Ordinarily, if we didn't have outside counsel, we would just delay these items, until the end of the meeting. So I understand that many of you here tonight, you signed up to speak. But because we have outside counsel and per our rules, we would have to go into executive session with respect to these two items at the outset of our meeting. So just ask that you bear with us as we get through this first executive session. All right, I know there was a motion to go into executive session. Was there a second?
Second.
It's been moved to second. Any additional discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey, English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, we're in executive session. Stay down here. Perhaps I'll use my voice instead. All right, we're now back from executive session. Voice works a lot better than the gavel. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham. Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
The record reflect, we went into executive session with respect to items 8A and 8F. That's pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70A2 and in subsection 5 and 30-4-70, subsection A2 and 3. We received legal advice with respect to both of those items and no action was taken.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize, Madam Vice Chair?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the county administrator to move forward with the Blythewood property retention ponds.
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey. English.
Yes.
Newton.
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 9, citizens input for items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had several individuals that signed up to speak this evening. And I guess before I get started, I do want to make sure, I know we have several items and sign-up sheets when you came in, and we do have several items for public hearing. And so just to clarify, this item right now is for items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing, okay? So if I don't call your name, that means you signed up for something else, and we'll get there next. But if you signed up this sheet and you actually plan to speak on an item that has a public hearing tonight, you will need to wait until that time, okay? So if you accidentally signed up on the wrong sheet, please just say that, and then we can move you to the appropriate category. And we have 7 individuals signed up to speak this evening. First is Ms. Kim Murphy. And I'm going to call another person's name, if you would come to the second mic and just wait. John Ziegler. If you would, state your first and last name as well as your address, and you'll be given 2 minutes to speak, and you'll hear the 2-minute alarm when your time is ended.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
The agenda item is the award of construction for Dirt Road.
If you would, just one moment. Let's make sure we get your
Thank you. I didn't start with my name.
and your address.
Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane in Chapin. Thank you. The agenda item is the award of construction for Dirt Road Package O. I have concerns not about the bid, but about one of the 4 dirt roads that is proposed to be paved with penny tax. I know that you are anxious to pave dirt roads that are fronted by landowners who do want their roads paved, but I'm concerned that the county may end up paving a dirt road with taxpayer dollars so that it will allow a developer to develop. I believe I've read it, that your ordinance may prohibit that. One of the tracts of land on the short road, Howard Kugler Road, is zoned as PDD. I don't know that the Transportation Department knew this, but if I'm not mistaken, a PDD must be constructed on a paved road. It can't construct unless the road is paved. But whether I understand the ordinance and the code correctly, I think taxpayers would also be concerned that taxpayer dollars were used instead of the developer paying to pave the road. Also, after a brief check, I cannot find that a rezoning took place to change the zoning to PDD. So it may be that the zoning on the property is incorrect. But thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm just here. I was here last year. to voice my opinion on.
I'm going to start with your first and last name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
your
John
address.
Ziegler, 103 Roundtree Road, Blythewood, South Carolina, 29016. And I live in Stonington subdivision, and there's a developer putting in a subdivision behind us. I don't have a problem with that, other than it's zoned rural, and he's using, I guess it's a loophole for open spaces to build his houses over there that he's going to stack on top of each other. They're not going to be open spaces, but that's not even my problem. That's somebody else's. My problem is he wants to cut through our subdivision and put, I guess, if there's 300 people there with cars, that's going to be 900 vehicles, I think, on the little scale they use, going by my house every day. We have small roads. We have a small community. People watch out for each other. We don't have sidewalks. We have kids standing on the edge of the curb waiting for buses in the morning. When you got 300 cars and their only goal is to get through your subdivision to get on I-77 to get work on time, they're not going to be following speed limits, and they're not going to be watching out for our kids and our dogs and our the people that live in our subdivision. He's got a road that he's using it right now to develop this land. There's no reason why they can't use that road for the development once he gets done with that. Other than I guess he has to lose one of his lots if he has to use that road. So he'll lose that on, well, I guess $34,000. But he wants to make our life miserable for $34,000. I don't know. Anyways, because the road they have now is plenty big. They had front end loaders. They have whatever it takes to build a subdivision. They're all down there. They're going 24/7 down there. I can hear them, the trucks backing up, beeping all day long. But I guess my complaint is just they should be able to use that road, or they can use Fulmer Road also. One of those two roads to not have to cut through our subdivision and disrupt our small little community we have.
That is your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Edith Taylor and Jason Jacko. Do it, Ms. Taylor. Proceed.
Good evening. I'm Edith Taylor. My address is 1099 Motley Road in Hopkins, South Carolina, 29061. I'm here because I have property located near Westinghouse, and the family has owned that property since 1958, and we've been harvesting timber from that property all this time. Back in, I say, May, early June, I came up to zoning inquiring about the property, saying that I might be considering putting rentals out there or something. And they were saying, no, you can't do that. No rentals or anything can go out there. And they asked what was the address of the property. And I gave them the address of the property, and I left. So I did the same thing back in, say, September, late August, September. I came back with the same question and telling them I wanted to put rentals out on the property. Well, they printed out a little section of the property, but the entire section of the property, little form, about 8 by 11 piece of paper of the property. This time, over half of the property is wetlands. And I could not understand after all these years we've been doing timber, and you can't cut the timber on the property because that's wetlands. That my son and I walked the property back in 2020. There's never been any real water standing, not even when it's been a heavy rain. There's not really a water standing there. When we went through there, it had been a couple of days after rain, nothing. I don't know when the water started standing there, maybe since May of this year, but I'm really concerned about when that became wetlands and how over half of the property now are wetlands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jason Jacko. I'm a resident of the Olympia neighborhood at 931 Texas Street. I'm going to speak with you about the preservation of the Olympia Mill Village. Our historic Olympia Mill Village is under siege by development that destroys local history and detracts from the residential and architectural significance. Our community is not just a collection of old houses and streets. It is a living testament to our local history and architectural heritage. Recognized by the South Carolina Department of Archives and History and the National Historic Registry, the Olympia Mill Village stands as a significant and cherished part of our shared past. As stewards of this heritage, our community wants to ensure the rich history and architectural features of our village are preserved for generations to come. I would like to bring the council's attention to a serious issue that has gravely threatened the historic significance of Olympia. There seems to be a lack of communication between the zoning and permitting departments of Richland County, which has resulted in permits being allotted for new construction without any apparent attention paid to ensure that the new houses being built serve as residential properties for families rather than being rented out to individual people. The new construction at 1128 and 1132 Olympia Avenue will serve as a 16-bed rental property. This needs to be investigated, and all future instances like this need to be halted. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Margaret, is it Marcus?
Margaret Mancuso.
Margaret Mancuso, I apologize. Vi Henley.
Hi, my name is Margaret Mancuso. I live at 817 Ohio Street in Olympia. Over the past few years, the development taking place in historic Olympia has threatened our neighborhood's charm, character, and architectural features which tell its story. 3 projects, 2 on Ohio Street and 1 on Texas Street, have 6 or more bedrooms. These 2 new constructions at 1128 and 1130 Olympia Avenue, which is essentially our main street, are masquerading as residential new construction or new 2-family houses when they are in fact 8-bedroom boarding houses with inadequate parking. Those 16 bedrooms will more than likely generate the need for 16 places to park, adding to the existing parking issues our neighborhood already faces. The new construction not only adds to the existing traffic woes in our community, but also poses more of a threat to public safety and leisure, as our area is known for mass amounts of foot traffic. We feel this is a deceptive practice, and we want to see that the true residential nature of our beloved community is preserved. The We Are Olympia organization requests that when the permits are issued for the new construction, the property owners be required to declare and potentially sign off on the exact purposes of the building being erected. This will help to ensure that a single-family home does serve as a residential property for families and is not misleadingly rented out to 16 or more students. Our organization does not oppose new residential construction. In fact, we encourage it, as we believe those who love and care for a property in the village will come to cherish Olympia as its dwellers already do. We would love to welcome young, active individuals and anyone looking to purchase a property in Olympia. However, we request that the County Council take urgent measures to maintain the sanctity of our historic legacy in Olympia, as her history has had a profound impact on the city of Columbia as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Vi Henley.
Hi, good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to bring light to a problem our neighborhood has faced for decades. Investors have maximized profit in the Olympia Mill Village and have done so because zoning isn't enforced. Keenly aware of this, investors find it very profitable to operate without restriction. As a result, we are experiencing an alarming onslaught of harmful and uncontrolled development. Several newly permitted and built multi-family houses have replaced historic 2-bedroom houses. The replacements are investments for short-term rental or student housing markets. Most have 4 to 8 bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms and are rented by the room, or in the case of Airbnbs, advertised to sleep 16. We don't oppose good development, but these unchecked profit maximization schemes lead to overcrowding and the destruction of the historic character and livability of Richland County's Mill Village neighborhood. Does the county define family as including unrelated individuals? If not, is compliance to single and multi-family occupancy voluntary? Does the building permit and zoning departments work in concert? Is the owner made aware of how zoning affects how they rent the property? Can they be made accountable by acknowledging understanding of the acceptable uses of their project? We please ask that you consider the importance of the quality of life and affordability of housing as it relates to economic development. A family can hardly afford to rent by the room, $800, $900 per room, not a family. We respectfully request that you fully staff the zoning and planning and permitting departments and direct them to identify and close the loopholes investors use when operating
Thank you,
rental
ma'am. That is your
properties.
time. Ms. Henley, before you leave, if you would, I'm sorry I didn't
Sure,
stop
I'm
you.
sorry. I didn't say my name.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry. My name's Viola Henley. I live at 104 Alabama Street, and I have lived in the Olympia community for 40 years.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Last is Ms. Sherry Jacob.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Jaco. I live at 1166 Olympia Avenue. I grew up in Olympia and make it my home now. We're speaking here tonight in defense of this historic community, obviously. The development unfolding before us brings about congestion and safety concerns, but it also signifies an erosion of our local history. The inadequacy of parking spaces coupled with increased traffic poses dangers for both pedestrians and vehicles in our bustling mill village. This trending erosion of local history has no building code protections. These building plans that were allowed for the destruction last week of a historic house built in 1900. The house could have been saved and modified to closely duplicate the proposed construction. It would have qualified for Richland County's tax incentives for years to come, along with the Bailey Bill. The new construction could more closely resemble the historic architectural houses that are already there. Our community is working with Richland County Council and Richland County Planning and Development Department to make sure protections are included in the current land development plan that's being finalized. Our community and other historic neighborhoods in unincorporated Richland County must sound the alarm and work to ensure that our local history is preserved for future generations. The time for action is now. We are asking you to incorporate protections in the land development plan. We must be the vigilant guardians of our local history. We are united in our determination as a community to preserve our heritage and so that it will benefit future generations. Together, we can make a lasting impact on the preservation of the Olympia Mill Village. Tonight, we stand together against the trend of development and protecting the very essence of our community.
Thank you,
We
ma'am. That's your
are
time.
Olympia Strong. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes all individuals that signed up to speak this evening.
Next item on the agenda is item 10, citizens input. Must pertain to Richland County matters not on the agenda. Items for which a public hearing is required or a public hearing has been scheduled cannot be addressed at this time. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 11, report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. A few items on my report tonight I want to share with you. I want to first start off just briefly touching on Operation Greenlight and just take a few moments to highlight Richland County's continued support of our veterans community. I'm going to ask the clerk just to show a couple of slides while I just share some comments with you briefly. So this Veterans Day, the National Association of Counties and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers invited nation's 3,069 counties and parishes and boroughs to join them in what they call Operation Greenlight. Operation Greenlight is an opportunity to show support for veterans by lighting our buildings green from November 6th through November 12th. By shining a green light, county governments and our residents will let veterans know they are seen, appreciated, and supported. And the fourth slide that you have here tonight just simply show you our Richland County Judicial Center. They show you the Richland County Administration Building, They show you the Richland County Central Magistrates Court, as well as the Richland County Sheriff's Department Annex. And those are just a couple of the facilities we were able to highlight around the county to show our support for our military veterans. So just before I move on from that, Mr. Chair, certainly give members of the council an opportunity to weigh in if there are any thoughts. But that is what we're doing this year, amongst other things that the county already does to show military support. But we are participating in this national opportunity to show our support for our local veterans by participating in Operation Greenlight.
Comments from the body regarding this item? Ms. McBride, you recognize, ma'am.
Chair, I just want to thank Administrator Brown and his staff for taking on the initiative, and I think it's a very good cause.
Also join Bride in expressing similar sentiments as well, Mr. Brown. Anyone else? Brown, continue on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next, I'll move to items under the administrator's nomination. Under that, the first item I want to talk about is a very huge opportunity for the county to take a step forward with our compensation study recommendations. And I want to turn your attention to your packet, beginning on page 23, under additional fiscal budgetary matters to consider. It says the county entered into an agreement with Evergreen Solutions, LLC, in 2022 to conduct a compensation study and analysis. As a result of the findings, Evergreen has recommended the county adjust county employee salaries to better reflect the market. If you turn to page 24 of your packet, under a strategic and generative discussion, it says, during the summer of 2023, Richland County Council approved a motion allowing staff to evaluate the salary recommendations proposed by Evergreen Solutions to develop a new compensation structure and classification system for the county. Evergreen is a national, multidisciplinary public sector management consulting firm which specializes in working with public sector organizations. If you go down to the next paragraph, it says the recommendations from Evergreen have been carefully developed to address the pressing needs of the county's workforce, ensure competitive compensation, and yield numerous benefits for the county as a whole. The implementation of salary increases aligns with the county's strategic plan to establish competitive salaries. County employees play a pivotal role in maintaining the essential services and programs that benefit the community. However, employees have faced the challenges of rising living costs and increased workloads. In light of these concerns, the formulated compensation plan aims to, 1, determine and place all employees into a grade classification and step to compensate for the skills used to perform their job and for the years of service in that position with the county. 2, to attract and retain top talent. 3, to boost the morale, job satisfaction. 4, to enhance productivity and efficiency. 5, to reduce employee turnover. 6, to reflect the cost of living. 7, to maintain a competitive edge. And 8, to demonstrate employee appreciation. In summary, approving this compensation plan is an investment in Richland County's future. It will empower employees to perform at their best, improve service quality, and maintain a competitive position within the labor market. Furthermore, it demonstrates the county's commitment to well-being of those who serve Richland County tirelessly. And with that saying, Mr. Chair, that is why the recommendation is to approve this item, the implementation of this study with a time frame to be implemented on December 21st, 2023. In going through this process, Mr. Chair, members of council, we did meet with all appointed and elected officials, all agency department heads. We covered each of their concerns about the different positions within their organization, and a number of them have reached out to us and provided their feedback. And if you would, Mr. Chair, actually have tonight present with us Solicitor Gibson, who wanted to just echo the process and his comments related to the study.
Solicitor Gibson, you recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of council. Normally when we come from the solicitor's office, we're talking about our trials, our caseloads, the case management systems that we have. We're talking about the assistant solicitors and the work that they do and just, again, the case loads that they have. But what we rarely talk about is what makes our offices tick, and that's the employees. You know, that's the people, the paralegals, that's our investigators, that's our victims advocates, that's our administrative assistants. those are the ones who provide the glue that helps our office stick together and helps us do our jobs as effectively as we can. I say that because you may remember back in April, this council celebrated two members of our office, Carol Bowler and Henrietta Joy, who had been with our office for 46 years and 44 years respectively. I tell you that because that day is, a lot of people say it's dead and gone. You don't see people who stay with county agencies as long as those two did. They gave their lives to our agencies. And what we appreciate is the fact that this initiative that Mr. Brown has talked to you about gives us the opportunity to see more Henrietta Joys and more Carol Bowlers in our offices, not just my office, but all of our offices. It allows us to nurture the fruit that we have in our office already. It helps folks make a livable wage. It gives them incentives to stay with the county. It lets the knowledge that they have stay with us as opposed to going out to the private sector every day. And so I come to you today asking that you support the initiative, the hard work that's been done. I've been a part of the process and sharing matters with from our office, as is the Public Defender's Office and so many other offices. We know the goods. We know the quality of work that the people provide. And this will allow us to retain, not only recruit, but to retain the good ones. And hopefully we can stand up here in several years and say, hey, you know, it's been 40 years and we have other employees who are here who are retiring from Richland County. So I say to you, thank you for the work that's been done, and I'm asking that you consider investing and continuing to invest in our people, because that's the capital. That's what makes Richland County great, and that's what raises our agency so that we can be the pearl of South Carolina, which is what we should be. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown, when do you envision this coming before council for a full vote? You mentioned December 23rd, I think you said?
Tonight. The implementation will be December 21st. This matter was.
This is first reading tonight?
No, sir. Mr. Chair.
Okay.
You recognize me. Sorry.
No, sir. There's no reading. This item was before council authorized via
Study.
motion.
Right, I remember that.
No, sir. In addition to the study, they authorized staff to go back and meet with the elected and appointed officials and all department heads, come back to council with the results of that in order to implement this study. So we have done that, and now we're coming back to you saying we've met with all the departments, met with all the officials. We put together an implementation plan that's already budgeted and funded, and we're ready to move forward, and we're asking for permission to move forward with the implementation of this plan.
You're asking that tonight?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, let me ask one more question. So if I remember correctly from our budget meetings earlier this year, the county generated about $17 million in new revenue. Am I correct on that, give or take?
I'm not sure that, but I do have my budget personnel in the audience, so we can get those budget answers for you, but I'll certainly go ahead and follow your conversation, sir.
I think I remember the $17 million, and I thank Ms. Thomas for answering some of my questions about this earlier today. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Deshpande coming down, Councilman Weaver. Come on down, Mr. Deshpande. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my apologies. I thought he was moving. Didn't mean to put you in there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on.
No. Come on.
He wants to.
Well, I just remember I can't direct you to do anything, Mr. Deshpande.
Abhi Deshpande, Budget Director. And if there are any questions, I will take those related to budget.
Somehow, in the budget hearings this spring, I just remember the figure of $17 million being thrown around in new revenue that the county achieved year over year.
I don't have the entire budget in front of me right now, but it's kind of around that figure, but that also includes some of the other, not only the general fund, but there are some other revenues as well, yeah.
Okay. All right, last question, Mr. Brown. I know we need to move on. A lot of folks have been waiting. Okay. So if I need to follow up with a staff member on additional questions, which I have, would I direct that to Ms. Thomas, yourself? Which would you prefer?
Yes, sir. If you have budgetary questions, you are more than welcome to ask Director Deshpande or ACA Thomas, who oversees the department as well. No problem.
So I read through a good bit of the study for tonight, and I just have additional questions, but I don't want to tie the meeting up, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the recognition.
Councilman Weaver, look, I'll never penalize you, for asking questions. So no, that's absolutely. Any additional questions from the body on this item? Ms. Mackey, you recognized.
Apologize, you stated questions. I didn't necessarily have a question.
Or
Well,
comments?
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the administrator's recommendation for the compensation study with the implementation date December 21st, 2023.
Second. Properly second. Any discussion? You recognize Councilman Brown.
I just want to acknowledge, to Mr. Weaver's question, this is, this basically equates, the increase equates to more than half of the increase in revenues to the county. And also recognize, some of the data that I see in the report, which is that there's a 24% turnover rate with employees at the county. And then to acknowledge that they did receive a 4% cost of living increase earlier this year, but before that, there had been no increase in compensation across the board for 3 years, back to 2019. So again, I just want to say out loud, this is not something that I would take lightly. I support it, but it is because I'm here to help make that investment in the core functions of government. We're making those investments in capital projects when it comes to the facilities that provide the core services of government. And I think this is an important step as well to make sure that the personnel that are in place are there to provide the quality services that our citizens and the people that do business in Richland County need. Thank you.
Recognize that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to just go on the record to say to administration that I think that this is critically important. As a mother of a college student, I oftentimes have conversation with him about coming back home and coming back home to work. And our last conversation just last week was, Mama, they don't make any money in Richland County. They don't make any money in Richland County. So to be able to say that we're putting something in place that is going to attract young people to not just want to live here as a child, but to come back here and to be able to work and have a place that they're proud of, but yet get the wages that they need. I think that is critically important, and thank you, Mr. Brown, and I fully support this.
Recognize, Mr.
I just want to make sure the public doesn't get the image, the perception that this is a rushed item, it's a one-reading item. This is an item that's been went through 3 readings in public hearing during our budget process. The funds are available for this item for the remainder of this particular year, so it's nothing new to us, and I think it's very important for the public to understand that. It doesn't increase your tax for the rest of this year because that's been already appropriated. And I want to commend staff for its effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just, agreeing with Ms. Barron and Mr. Livingston as well, want to thank staff, ACA Thomas, for all of your hard work and effort in leading this and reaching out, as you heard Solicitor Gibson speak, reaching out with all of our departments and working on a plan that works for everyone in the county. In addition, this matter has been something that the council agreed as a whole in our strategic plan to really put Richland County employees first, to make sure this is a place that they want to work, that they want to stay here and retire, and then also continue to recruit, as Ms. Barron mentioned, our young employees to work in the government and be proud of where they work. And this compensation study and new pay rate is one of many things that we've committed to do. In addition to adding increased PTO days, we recently approved a paid parental leave for young parents. We continue to work with benefits for our employees, and that's not it. This council is committed to finding other benefits and ways to attract a new workforce to Richland County. And so I want to make sure, as Mr. Livingston said, that the public understands this is not rushed. This is something we as a body have committed to do, and we'll continue to work to do that because we want folks to come work at Richland County and be proud so that we can deliver the services that constituents expect here in Richland County. So thank you again for staff, for all you've done. And I'm excited for employees and can't wait to put out all these job opportunities that we have. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Right.
I just want to echo what everyone said, and again, as Councilman Livingston said, we've been working on this issue for years and years and years. And Mr. Brown, I want to thank you for these last 2 years, 3 years we've done it to bring it into fruition. And I want to thank this council for helping to make this possible now, because you know we've been working on this for many, many years. And I think that the staff deserve it and the public deserves it, because when you have a happy staff, you have happy citizens, you have happy constituents, and everybody benefits from it. So thank you.
Might as well get in on the fun. Thank you, Mr. Brown and the staff, for doing what you needed to do to make sure that we can secure good workers here at Richland County and have build a better future. Thank y'all.
Newton, if you're there, you recognize too.
Thank you. I'll just say ditto.
ACL?
Same here. Thanks everybody and staff for your work on this, and I'm proud to be part of this group.
Chair, I'm just here for the discussion.
One more.
No, Miss English.
And the preacher said amen.
With that, I call for the question.
Yes, Madam Clerk, please take this vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Separation necessary.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Move to
Chair.
reconsider?
Second.
Properly second. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Brown? Floor is yours.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I have one more item to discuss. I do want to just take just a quick opportunity to say that since I've been here, this is probably one of the most collaborative efforts that we've had at all levels, from the county council to the staff, to the elected officials, to the appointed officials and their staffs. There are lots of meetings and a lot of conversations back and forth in a very positive way. And I do see this as an opportunity for us to continue to move forward in other efforts. And I just appreciate everybody's participation, including the staff that really hit this hard. That is ACA Thomas. That is Ms. Vanique Harley, our new Director of Human Resources. That is our budget department, Aubrey Deshpande. There are other people in their teams that we certainly will recognize, but this is really a momentous structure that you've put in place as an organization. And I think you really will see dividends going forward when people can expect and not have to worry and guess whether or not their organization will provide funding for their futures. So really, thank you. The next items are both items that have been before this body before. We're now just simply asking you to accept the grant awards for McIntyre Air Force Base for their firefighter temporary housing and for Fort Jackson Centennial Park. So staff's recommendation is for approval to receive the grant funds now that they have been awarded. And remember, we are a pass-through agency for those projects.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Both of those grant awards.
Properly second. Any discussion? You recognize Mr. Branham?
Briefly, I think there was just a typo on page 22 on the dollar amount for Fort Jackson Centennial Park. What's the actual number there?
1.1 million is what I have. Branham, my number's off.
I have a $1,145,466.53.00.
Do you have the original? Go ahead, Mr. Jensen. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may be
You recognize
recognized.
Mr. Jensen.
Thank you, ACA Jensen, for the record. Yes, sir, I believe the 00 at the end is an accident. I believe it's just .33 or 53 or whatever those last two digits were.
Okay, so it's 53 cents. And
I
take off
believe
the
that is the correct amount, yes, sir.
last zeros.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Else? Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Consideration needed, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir, for that item and for the item that came out of executive session related to Blythewood.
Move to reconsider.
Second.
What are we, just so we're clear on the motion for purposes of the record, Ms. Barron, you, please.
I move to reconsider 8A and 11B2.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio, Weaver,
No.
Barron,
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton. Motion fails.
Brown?
Sorry, I wanted to record my no vote, but I had technical difficulties.
Thank you.
Noted.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
All right. Next item on the agenda is item 12, report of the Clerk of Council. Madam Clerk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. Council members have received the proposed 2024 council meeting schedules, which is in your packet, and that lists us the dates of meetings that council will take place during the year 2024, including work sessions and budget public hearings. And if this council will make a motion and approve it, then we'll be able to publicize it.
Motion to approve the proposed 2024 council meeting schedule.
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride, Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Doesn't require reconsideration.
No. Thank
That
you.
concludes
That
your
concludes.
report?
Yes, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 13, report of the chair, and at this time, the chair doesn't have any updates or announcements for the body. Next item on the agenda is 14, open closed public hearings. Item 14A, which is an ordinance to adopt the text amendment recommendations of the Richland County Planning Commission to the 2021 Land Development Code, which will regulate development in the unincorporated areas of Richland County. Before I open up that public hearing, Madam Vice Chair, do you know how many people we have signed up to speak with respect to this item?
Enough to need to change the requirements. I estimate probably 40.
40?
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I am going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules with
So
respect to
moved,
item
Mr. Chair.
14A. All right?
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron, Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Okay, and so, at this time, that public hearing is now opened. And just before we get into the public hearing, typically, when individuals come before, council to speak or be heard at a public hearing, an individual has 2 minutes to speak. And usually the public hearing lasts for a total of 30 minutes. Well, if you do the math on 30 minutes, that'll only allow for 15 people to speak this evening. But it appears that we have almost 3 times that number signed up. So the only way we can accommodate, the public and everyone that has signed up this evening to be heard would be to suspend the rules. So while the rules are suspended, I will still ask that you be mindful about the 2 minutes and not abuse this accommodation that we're making this evening, just so, again, we want everyone to be heard. With that in mind, Madam Vice Chair?
Thank you. Okay, because we have so many individuals signed up tonight, I'm going to try to get us through this quickly. So instead of earlier where I called 2 names, I'm going to call 4 names at a time, just 2 to each mic, please. As a reminder, when you come down, state your first and last name, as well as your address. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. You will hear the alarm go off to notify you that that is the conclusion of your 2 minutes. Do ask that you abide by that alarm and end your comments at that time. as a reminder, when you came in from the rules, just be mindful of your statements and not to call out any particular council members or say disparaging remarks related to staff. First up is, sorry, not first up, the first group of 4 people: Stephen Bauer, Lady June Cole, Terry Rao, Michael Watts. Good. Right ahead, you.
Hello, I'm Stephen Boyer. I'm at 320 Valentine Estates Road in Irmo. I would like you to approve with this amendment and no changes as far as the written policies go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. I'm Lady June Cole, 309 North Trenholm Road. I am here tonight to request that you oppose the Planning Commission's amendments to the 2021 LDC. Please vote to send these amendments back to the Planning Commission for studies as called for in the approved motion by council in 2022. The motion was supported by the members of council, and the motion requested that the Planning Commission conduct appropriate studies. If council directed that it be done, then the appropriate action should have been taken. This is not a partisan issue, and this cannot be a pat-on-the-back relationship between business and government. This is an instance where the people use their vote as a voice, and where that trust and that voice is being diminished. Voters are depending on each of you as elected officials to make sure that their best interests are being promoted and their lives and livelihoods are being protected. It should not be contingent on whether or not they are able to attend a public hearing on election night. It is better to be aware of the full potential of all developments in Richland County, whether it is urban or rural. For instance, in Lower Richland, where's the data as it relates to flooding, infrastructure, traffic, air pollution, and heat issues? These types of studies are required by most municipalities and counties for rezoning, and you would be remiss not to thoroughly vet these amendments and the underlying omission by the Planning Commission. While it's easy to reword a document to make it look acceptable, it is more responsible to use accurate, timely research studies and data to support the rewording. And lastly, all concerned parties must make sure that the findings of those studies are widely known to the residents and to other concerned citizens and stakeholders. I thank you for your time and your willingness to do the right thing.
Thank you.
Hi. Terry Rowell, 3635 Kennerly Road, Irmo, South Carolina. I request that you approve the new amendments. I also request that you move the date up from March 1st to hopefully after it's approved immediately. And that's my request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Watts, 421 Reimer Pond Road and 359 Adams Road, Blythewood, both of them. I'm going to do something I rarely do, and Councilman Livingston probably attest to this. I'm going to thank y'all. I'm going to thank you for listening to the citizens. I'm going to thank Councilman Pugh for taking the people of Blythewood's concerns into account. And y'all stopped and you sat back and you really did listen to the people. And I appreciate that. I'm the proud grandson of Conda Reimer and Lois Boney Reimer. I'm living a dream. I told them when I was 13 years old that I wanted to live on the family farm, and I've been blessed to be able to do that for decades and decades and decades now. So while I don't appreciate the traffic, I don't appreciate the noise pollution and the light pollution, and I don't appreciate picking up trash on a weekly basis that's thrown out on my property, I do appreciate y'all taking a pause and listening to the citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you. Next 4 are Henry Martin, Pam Selzinkhaus, John Grego, Mark Hirschberger. And I apologize for all names that I may be mispronounced this evening. Ma'am.
Hey, I'm Pam Selkinghouse. I reside at 1944 Marina Road. I'm a lifelong resident of the Columbia area. We all know that change is coming, but we need to make sure that these changes are positive in nature and allow us to maintain the diversity of our beautiful county, Richland County. Diversity, to me, means rural farmland with local food sources. It means safe neighborhoods for kids to ride bicycles and play in their yards. It means the city, towns, and metropolitan areas are for fine dining, cultural activities, and high-density multifamily housing. The citizens of this county have fought this massive rezoning for approximately 2 years now, and the Planning Commission has worked very hard to help us maintain some of our diversity, because we all don't want to live in the city. The amendments to the LDC reflect approximately 2 years' worth of discussion and analysis on this topic. All stakeholders have had approximately 2 years for input, and this thing needs to be finalized. Please pass all amendments without further discussion or modification. 2 years is long enough for everybody to have given their input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry Martin. I live at 124 Winding Road in Irmo, South Carolina. I will add that I was born and raised in Rosewood, so I have a quite diverse opinion of the town of Irmo and Columbia and the middle section of town. And as Pam said, have you noticed this county is very diverse? And I think that as representatives on council, you're pretty aware of that between the rural and all that, the city, Columbia and Fort Jackson. The LDC process has been mammoth. It started for me when the R3 notification came out, okay, to our area up on the lake, where what's said in R3 was multifamily housing and stuff like that. There's not enough room for all of that. We're on wells and septic tanks out there. So that got my attention. This is where the roof was raised on all zoning levels by the county that said it was generated by a computer. Okay, I don't know how we did that, but that's how it came about. I've spent almost 2 years educating myself on this process. I know how challenging your job is, I've said that before, and others on Richland County on this new LDC, what it means to us as residents. Many of the people have worked hard and long at providing input and attending meetings in other districts, where I met Councilman Overton Walker at another meeting, to learn what other people were thinking about this process. It's very important that we've done that, and you did that, and the Planning Commission did that as part of the thing of taking inputs. So a lot of smart people have sifted through the 500 pages and the map many times. I only did it once. It was plenty for me. Planning Commission, council, residents, staff, lawyers, and developers have all seen this process all laid out before them now. The red crowd you see behind us is ready to get this going. People that are in red, raise your hand if you're ready to get this done. We highly recommend and expect the Planning Commission's recommended text and map amendments to be adopted to be the baseline going forward. This keeps our vote as residents and taxpayers on the table. We need transparency.
That is your time, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm John Grego, and I live at 830 Old Woodlands Road. The Conservation Commission has reviewed amendments to the Land Development Code approved by the Planning Commission. We have taken an active interest in Land Development Code and zoning map revisions since the start of the process in late 2017. Here we summarize some of the comments on the amendments that we shared with you in November 2022 and the Clerk of Council provided to you for this hearing. We specifically advocated for AG zoning to support and preserve prime farmland and large-scale agricultural operations, protect water quality, and prevent sprawl. If part of the motivation for increasing the AG and HM densities would be to allow agricultural uses on smaller parcels of land, we feel the proposed changes to permitted uses in HM zoning provided this flexibility. In general, we are concerned that the increased densities for AG, HM, and RT zoning will inevitably lead to the loss of large parcels of farmland, deterioration of water quality through overdevelopment and poorly protected headwaters, ephemeral streams, and wetlands, and ultimately affect the rural character of Lower Richland. We oppose amendments that seek to increase minimum lot areas and dimensional standards and to eliminate any other provisions for cluster-based development. The county has a 10-year record with cluster-based development as part of the existing Land Development Code, specifically the Green Code. In general, cluster-based development has been one of the the design concepts aggressively promoted during this process and is a foundational design element of density-based zoning. Cluster-based development increases high-quality connected open space, better protects the county's water quality and natural resources, and provides enhanced recreational opportunities for the county's residents. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Hirschberger. I live at 15 Sweet Bay Drive, Columbia. Lived there over 42 years. I ask that you please adopt the very fine work done by the Planning Commission. I have followed this LDC issue for many months. When the county undertook to modify the LDC with very high intentions, very good intentions, it soon became evident that it would have some unintended consequences. We found that in my area that there would be some effects, adverse effects as we perceived it, on our quality of life and perhaps even the value of our property. Old people like me do not like surprises. So I think the Planning Commission has done an excellent job. You have made accommodations, you've altered your goals, and you've really done a super job. Council now has the responsibility and the opportunity to proceed to bring this thing to a conclusion, and your constituents will appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I like to say I'm not old and I don't like surprises either. Brad Everhart, George Brower, Heather Bailey, Lisa Borden.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brad Everhart. My address is 10 Morningstar Court, Irmo, South Carolina. I'm a State Farm insurance agent in Ballantyne. I also am part of the Ballantyne Civic Community Association with hundreds of members, and also with the president of the Sunset Place Homeowner Association. I appreciate what y'all do. It's amazing. I've been watching this for years with Bill Malinowski, and it's always fun to come down here, and I always go home going, I should do this more often. It's gratifying because you have no clue what's going on until you come down here and see what y'all go through. And Jason, you're awesome. We appreciate you. Please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission, amendments with no changes. That's my desire, and that's all the folks that we know in our areas who have asked for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Heather Bailey. My husband and I have lived at 1937 Marina Road for over 43 years. Please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission with no changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is George Brower. I live at 4 Sundance Court, Irmo, South Carolina, 29063. My wife and I bought a house off Marina Road about 6 years ago, and we really liked living out there, and we like the way the area is set up right now, and so we also would ask that you would please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission, amendments with no changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Borden. I live at 116 Rideout Point Road, Irmo, South Carolina, 29063. Thank you again, as previous gentleman said, to all the council members for all of the hard work that you guys have put into looking through this document. The Planning Commission has spent 2 years with citizen and stakeholder input and ample opportunities to provide input over this time period. I ask the county council members to approve the text amendments tonight on the second reading to pair with the previously approved map that also intense negotiation and collaboration created. The resulting text amendments are a collaborative effort with the stakeholders who have compromised, even though that's a word we're not supposed to use in politics. We have all compromised to create this document. Please pass all text amendments as given. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine Johnson, Mark Rankin, Edwin Johnson, Bill Malinowski.
Hi, my name is Mark Rankin. I'm the Vice President of the Ballantyne Community Association. We've been discussing this for years. It's a very important issue, and that's why we're here. We understand what you're doing. We support you, and we appreciate what you're doing by putting the time in and the effort to get this done, and we appreciate that. We would like for you to please vote in favor of all the amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission amendments with no changes. And thank you also for Operation Greenlight. Appreciate that.
I'm Elaine Johnson. I'm at 109 Cardinal Cove, Irmo, South Carolina. It takes an awful lot for me to be up here, but I need for you to approve this amendment as it is. I don't want our area to be overrun and overpopulated. I've watched way too many people come in. I love people, but it has nothing to do with that. It's getting overcrowded, and we just need you to approve this amendment and the text as it is.
Thank you.
Bill Malinowski, 11824 Broad River Road, Chapin. Thank you, council members. In April 2022, motions were made requesting information related to the Land Development Code. Earlier this year, when asked what happened to those motions, the attorney stated certain motions were determined to be improper, so they didn't move on, but never said which ones or why. Is this the inefficiency we want in our county? Shouldn't council have been given that info so changes could be made, especially since this council unanimously voted to approve those motions with the intent to obtain important information that could affect the new code? One motion requested a carrying capacity report to determine if existing resources could handle the impact of changes to the code relating to sewer, water, traffic, roads, schools, law enforcement, environment, and more. Some requested info from staff, but nothing was ever done. South Carolina Code 6-29-340 of 2020 states much of the information in the motions requested is required to be done by the Planning Commission, and I don't believe it was. I also asked the former treasurer if code changes would affect property taxes. His answer, I don't know. So we need answers to all of the above prior to third reading so the county doesn't find itself in a lawsuit for not fully vetting this new code. Getting something done right does not have a deadline. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I would ask, the chair's not here, but I'll say it for him. It would ask that you please refrain from any clapping or other responses from the audience. Yes.
Hi, my name is Edwin Johnson, 109 Cardinal Cove. I've been a resident there for over 21 years. I've seen the area change. I have seen where we had vacant properties to now multifamily to subdivisions, and the traffic is getting really bad. We don't want to see more and more grow as it is. We want single family. I ask you to support the amendment as it is without any adjustments to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Sloan. Cora Lee Swink. Elaine DuBose. Elaine Cooper.
My name is Mike Sloan. I reside at 1430 Wonder Drive. Three things I wanted the county to consider here. First, what Bill Malinowski did go over with his motions. Where'd they go, folks? Those motions were critical in this planning phase, and we didn't see them. We need to go back as a council and look for those motions and get them back to Planning Commission. Number two, Amendments 7, 8, and 9 that are on this particular growth plan, they're increasing density. Councilman Malinowski talked about the tax standpoint. I certainly understand that, and that's true. When you increase density, obviously we have an increase in taxes. Have we discussed that as a council? That's something we need to look at too. I don't think that's been discussed. And number three, all of these fine folks in Richland County bought the properties with the understanding that when I buy it, these are the uses that I can have with this property. When we come in as a council and vote on maybe taking some of these uses away, you notice I use that word taking, then we get into a taking situation. And I believe a taking situation would be involving the 5th and the 14th Amendment. We need to look at that a little more closely too. I don't think we've looked at that. We can't have our property rights taken from us that we were given when we purchased the property. And if you look back on your zoning, you're going to see we have some of that. And that's not good, folks. That's not good for the county. I think the county needs to look at it hard. This is a great county. We got a lot going on. Y'all have done a super job, don't get me wrong, but I think we got a little more thought we didn't look at, and we need to look at it before we put ourselves in a situation we don't want to be in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elaine DeBose. I reside at 7262 Sunview Drive, 29209, Lower Richland. I want to thank all of you who have worked so hard on the land development codes. The Planning Commission, I know Jason Branham, Chris Yonke, and all the others have done a great job. Geo Price and his staff also. Kim Murphy for diligently staying on top of this. Thank you, Kim. And I beg of you to please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission's amendments with no changes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Cora Lee Swink. I reside at 1812 Leesburg Road. I am a Lower Richland alumni, and I ditto everything that Elaine said. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Elaine Cooper, and I live at 3105 Dallas Road in Columbia. I asked for a stay on this rezoning plan. I do not support the amendments until appropriate studies have been made. I live in the city of Columbia, as I said, and I've lived through the Columbia 2015 flooding that flooded my area near Forest Acres, and I especially was drawn to help the completely flooded Lower Richland area. Since that time, I've attended statewide resilience conferences. One of these was at the Florence Technical College that have studied the areas that will be flooded again. Lower Richland will continue to experience flooding due to climate models. Other than that, I was made aware of a FEMA study that may still be ongoing as it studies flooding issues and the lack of infrastructure to handle the continued climate change occurrences, especially in Lower Richland. Urban sprawl development will impact waste treatment, water supply, drainage systems, traffic impact, and road conditions, school impact, public transportation, law enforcement, the environment, reducing trees from development occurring in, which would increase temperatures and reduce flood management. I am not confident that Richland County Council members have thoroughly vetted the cost for this much-needed infrastructure to support increased developments. I'm not confident that residents in Richland County have been informed about whether Richland County has existing monies to pay for all of this, that we would be impacted by development, especially in Lower Richland, and our taxes would go up. Another consideration, Columbia, along with surrounding Richland County, is becoming hotter due to the loss of tree canopy, along with increased areas of concrete heat islands as a result of unplanned development. I was a team member with the heat map study. I heard that that Professor Dowell should be allowed to talk about the heat map study. Thanks.
Thank you. Marty Crouch, Tom Bryant, Quentin Gaddy, Kevin Stillman.
Tom Bryant, 1325 South Carolina Road. Good evening. I'm Major Tom Bryant, Community Liaison Officer for McIntyre Joint National Guard Base. And I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the proposed Land Development Code. The protections for military installations in this code will protect our installation, its thousands of jobs, and its $180 million economic impact. While I do not speak for Fort Jackson or McCready Training Site, I can tell you that the protections for military installations listed in this Land Development Code will benefit those installations and their missions as well. I would like to thank the members of council for their consideration and members of staff, specifically the Planning Department, for working with us to capture our input for the Land Development Code. Thank you, and thank you for Operation Greenlight.
Marty Crouch, 218 Derrick Drive in Irmo. I had been in Lexington County for many years, but was fortunate enough to move over the river, and we love it. We love it. And we would like to request that, and I say we, my wife, family, that you approve the amendments that the Planning Commission has brought forth through many hours of research. Appreciate all the work that everyone's done, and approved with no amendments, please. Thank you very much.
I'm Quentin Gaddy. I live at 630 Canal Side Street in Columbia. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Building Industry Association of Central South Carolina, and I'd like to just provide some information for the council to consider as they work through the process of amending the text to the Land Development Code. Harvard University's Joint Center for Housing Studies has recently released their 2023 State of the Nation's Housing, and this report highlights that the supply of homes for sale remains at near record lows. These low home sales aggravate home prices and increase barriers to home ownership, particularly for modest income households. This report also pointed out that the rate of single-family construction slowed dramatically at the end of last year, and rising interest rates drastically diminished home buyer purchasing power. Rising land prices, high materials costs, and regulatory barriers like zoning restrictions are among the primary challenges, making it harder for home builders to provide modest-sized, affordable homes. Some of the proposed text amendments will be detrimental to the citizens and growth of Richland County. For example, one change calls to eliminate the option to reduce minimum lot width in cluster developments in large lot districts and single-family residential districts. Cluster development can increase the density of residential development, which will in turn reduce the amount of land that is needed for new housing. This also lessens the environmental impact of residential development by minimizing the amount of land that is disturbed, and it also preserves open space areas. Developers take advantage of this strategy to provide more open space and reduce the amount of infrastructure it takes to support housing. In the interest of a better Richland County and one that is open and welcoming to everyone, we ask that council reconsider measures included in these recent revisions to the Land Development Code. Members from the BIA are available and ready to meet with you individually to discuss different land development and construction methods that can lead to better housing attainability and affordability while still keeping true to the essence of the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin Steelman, 120 Harborside Circle. I am a 25-year resident of Richland County and a local residential land developer, and I thank you for your time tonight. I want to speak with you just about a few concerns about the proposed amendments to the Land Development Code. My first concern relates to the dramatic downzoning of the properties that are currently zoned RU that will experience a 25%, 50%, or 75% reduction in their zone density when this Land Development Code goes into effect. Many of these properties are adjacent to existing development. They're in areas of expected growth per the comp plan, or they've been they're in areas of expected growth by the comp plan and have been zoned simply based on the size of the parcels. I would ask that you consider allowing owners of these RU properties to pursue RU zoning, which would put them back on the comparable density to what they had prior to the rezoning, or be able to pursue a higher zoning if they're contiguous to an existing development, or if their request is consistent with the comp plan without incurring the fee for that request. Another concern relates to the removal of the 2, 3, and 4 dwelling unit uses within the R2, R3, and R4 zones. Also removal of the townhome from the R4 zone. As mentioned, new home prices have escalated rapidly in Richland County, for example, 17.3% over the past 24 months. And there's only 271 new homes currently for sale in Richland County with an average days on the market of 39. The attached residential units are a critical means for developers to provide affordable housing options for the community. Instead of eliminating these options from the zoning classifications, we would ask that you instead leave them in place and just increase buffer requirements in order to utilize them. Similarly, we believe the removal of the cluster density.
That's your time. Thank you. Tombo Milliken. Bill Wozinski. Carol Vanderride. Pamela Greenlaw.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tombo Milliken, and I live at 18 Tomby Court. I'm also a lifelong resident of Richland County. I'm a commercial real estate agent with NAI Columbia, specializes in land and all types of land development. I'm also here on behalf of the BIA. I'm here to speak about the need to keep the cluster development feature in the proposed Richland County Land Development Code. Our very own Richland County Economic Development Director, Jeff Rubel, and the South Carolina Department of Commerce have done an excellent job of recruiting quality businesses to our wonderful county and state. With these new businesses comes growth. With growth comes people. With people comes the need for additional housing or homes. The cumulative business community has barely been able to keep up with the demand for housing in Richland County for the past decade. Fact, there's more people coming to Richland County. I'd like to read a definition of residential cluster development for everyone's benefit. A residential cluster development or open space development is the grouping of residential properties on a development site whereby residential development is grouped or clustered on a portion of the property, and the extra land is used as open space or for recreation, as Mr. Grego referred to. Claimed advantages include more green or open space, a closer community, and an optimal stormwater management system. This can also be referred to as smart development. If you remove the ability to utilize cluster zoning or development as currently proposed, then you're actually raising the cost of development and ultimately the cost of housing for our current and future Richland County residents who may want to purchase a new home now or in the future. Future development without cluster development will also use more land than we're currently using.
That's your time.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ben Wilsinski. I live at 187 Garden Brook Drive in Irmo, and I'm also here with the local Building Industry Association, who represents many hundreds of people in this county. As you've heard from these previous three speakers, the Land Development Code as it stands right now has some provisions that will lead to consequences you may not intend to happen in this county, and that will negatively impact the future of the county. Rezoning of all rural land into 3 other zones without regard to location or what that land is adjacent to, that's not going to work out properly. You've already recognized that this is flawed, and you're allowing a period of time for rezoning of those land to those landowners. We ask that you extend this rezoning period to allow rezoning to any zone, not just the 3 new zones for rural. Removing cluster development, as Tombo just illustrated, you're probably for cluster development, but those advising you on removing this technique, we believe they have some sort of a personal bias against this method or personal other reasons. What works halfway across the country doesn't necessarily have to work here in Richland County. So we ask that you take that advice with a grain of salt. Again, we are available, our membership is available to meet with you individually before 3rd reading to give you the facts about cluster development and how it can be good for Richland County. And finally, the elimination of the attached residential units, townhomes, duplexes, threeplexes, fourplexes, and R2, 3, and 4, reduces housing affordability and attainability. Who lives in these type of homes? Retirees, empty nesters, people moving down. When you cash out, you get your equity out of your home, you got to live somewhere. You don't want to leave the county. You want to be able to buy one of these new homes, right? Also, your first-time buyers. You have a kid coming back from college. You want them to live in Richland County near you. Where are they going to buy this house? This is first opportunity for people to get on the rung of wealth building through homeownership. We need multiple different kinds of housing. So the unintended consequences of the code as it stands right now: reducing affordability and attainability of homes, limiting green space, removing trees that don't need to be removed, increasing sprawl, and increasing traffic problems. That's a problem for everybody. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Walker and council members. My name is Pamela Greenlaw, and because I come as chair of the Midlands Group of South Carolina Sierra Club to speak on behalf of our members and supporters who live in Richland County, I offer our business address, 1314 Lincoln Street in Columbia, South Carolina. The Planning Commission's current amendments are insufficient to protect residents from environmental impacts from current development practices that will cause increases in flooding, degrade quality of surface water resources, and create a multitude of heat islands. Our group urges you to use the lenses of environmental justice and the climate emergency. Your ability to create just and manageable growth is severely compromised by the lack of solid data, which was to have been collected, analyzed, and discussed, and then used as a guide for sustainable, healthy human, environmental, and economic development. Council members, you are under a legal obligation to follow through on your voted commitment to Bill Malinowski's motion, so that you can ensure the specific studies on the impacts of development are completed. After 18 months since that vote, there have been no studies and there's no data. Inventories of present infrastructure are necessary in order to determine what the population and environment can handle under the LDC. Next, you need to determine the funds that are needed to be invested in future infrastructure needs. Council members, we request you take 3 actions. First, stop this amendment vote process and demand that the necessary studies you voted for occur so that you can acquire the data necessary for the rewrite. Without knowing the costs, you cannot deliver on the intents of the LCD rewrite. Second, move that all unprocessed development applications be held in abeyance. Third, enact a moratorium on any new development applications until the studies are completed, data is analyzed. Lexington County managed to do this, and we believe you can do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Carol Vanderhyde. I live at 1904 Marina Road, Irmo, South Carolina. I've been there for 15 years. And I just want you to please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission with no changes. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, Kim Murphy, Sally Sharp, Dina Craps, Carol Sloop.
Put these on, sorry. Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane, Chapin. Thank you for your service and dedication to work through the proposed amendments. I know it has been grueling at times. And thank you for having the wisdom to send the LDC back to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission, along with many citizens from across the county, have spent a lot of time and effort collaborating to formulate key amendments that will, quoting Councilman Branham, move zoning in unincorporated Richland County towards greater transparency, due process of review and consideration, and more harmonious development when development is appropriate. The Planning Commission's dedication to this initiative has been impressive. The proposed amendments do not prohibit development, but will make it better. The rezoning process will still continue. The amendments will make the code a valuable tool. It will allow County Council to manage growth and development. excuse me, please vote in favor of all of the Commission's recommendations as they have presented and put them in place to stop the bleeding and begin the process of developing better. Approving these amendments does not prevent you from initiating a heat study and infrastructure study, which I think are needed, and I support. But I think it's very important that the bleeding stop and you put these good proposals in place. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Dina Krabs. I live in Blythewood, South Carolina, 316 Nature Road. I just ditto what she said, and I want to add to that, and I think it needs to move ahead, and we need to help protect environments for our future generations. Please pass all amendments without further modifications. Thank you for all y'all do, and I hope you do the right thing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carol Sloop. I reside at 292 Old Farm Lane. First of all, let me thank you for all the work that you put in. I'm just overwhelmed every time I come and I see the hours that you spend here, and I do appreciate it so much. I am here to thank you not only for your service, but to let you know that there are people in the community that put in a lot of hours also, and they have put in those hours towards trying to find the right instrument to move this county forward. I have lived here for over 50 years. I've tried to do my best to add to the betterment of the county. I have served at different levels. I've been on foster care review boards in 2 counties. I have worked on, I was on a committee for Richland County, Richland Hospital. When it became Prisma, I was on the committee there. I was on the Lexington District 5 School Board. I've served in different capacities, all because I love this county and I want us to do the right thing. I believe the Planning Commission has put in those same hours to try to do the right thing for Richland County. And you need to, in my estimation, you need to help them implement this and affirm the work that they have done. They have done this on behalf of the county. Please vote in favor of the amendments of the text as presented to you by your Planning Commission. Thank you so much.
Just to confirm, Sally Sharp. Sally Sharp. Okay.
I think she left or something happened.
Susan Crouch, Les Tweed, Jason Pittman, Ivory Jacks.
Good evening. Thank you so much for entertaining everyone's comments. My name is Susan Crouch, 218 Derrick Drive, Irmo, South Carolina. I would like to thank y'all for all your hard work. And please vote in favor of all amendments exactly as presented by the Planning Commission's amendments with no changes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council members, my name is Jason Pittman. I live at 1212 Canterfield Road. I appreciate your entertaining all of our comments. I ask here today that you adopt the amendments as presented to the Land Development Code. That request does not come but with personal compromise with my request. I disagree with some of the amendments that have been made, specifically or have been proposed to be made, specifically with respect to the agricultural zoning designation. It's doubling the density that would be allowed for housing. I think that's inconsistent with the idea that under the Land Development Code, it provides that the purpose of such a designation is to protect the rural and agricultural character of those lands. So this council, in choosing to adopt that language, chose to protect those lands. But I recognize that compromise is necessary to move forward and avoid further controversy. While I disagree in increased density in agricultural zoning as a owner of agricultural land, I recognize that this committee, this council, should adopt a compromise and thus ask that you adopt the code amendments as presented to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Les Tweed, and I live at 111 Saratoga Road, Irmo, South Carolina, 29063. And I'm president of the Ballantyne Community Association, who's been very active in this area. After almost 2 years of working with the Planning Commission, council members, and staff, we're very close to a well-balanced LDC program. I feel our county government is doing its job in listening to the residents. The community input meetings were really great help to gather information from the people, to help guide planning officials for our population growth, and at the same time creating the good text amendments necessary to preserve a good quality of life for existing and future communities. Working together has put us all on the right path for continuing to have a great county to live in. Please finish the job by voting yes to support the Planning Commission's recommendations just 2 more times on the second and third readings. Thank you all for your interest in getting things right by working together with your your voters on this 2-year project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I should say good evening at this point. My name is Ivory A. Jackson. I reside at 2178 Congaree Road, Eastover, South Carolina. It's been a long journey. I appreciate it. From 2 years ago when I first got that notice, which kind of shocked me, we've come a long way. Even though I'm still not totally in agreement with everything, I do appreciate the work that's been done, the changes that's been made, because I truly was appalled by that first stuff that was presented to me 2 years ago. So at this time, I would like to say that in spite of some flaws that I see, I still would like for you to approve the amendments, but I hope you will continue to work so that it's the best for all. Thank you.
Thank you. The next few individuals I'm calling, you did not spell out your full name, so I'm going to need you to, I guess, know who you are. Ben. At 1120 Hallbrook, Ben. FH, 1100 Hallbrook. FH, 1100 Hallbrook. Okay.
They don't know how to last out.
Okay. KC Flowers, 6408 Goldbird Road or Gold Bend Road. KC Flowers. Flower. Okay. Monica Lamb. Monica Lamb, thank you. And they just signed? Okay. That concludes all individuals that have signed up this evening, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Can we have a reconsideration? Mr. Wright, you recognize, sir.
Yeah. Just to make sure there's an accurate public record, I do want to state that the former council member in December made a council rules provide that for a council member to make a motion in a meeting, that they have to provide it in writing to the clerk to council prior to that meeting. What happened was the former council member made a number of motions in December, or not made motions, he actually provided written motions to the clerk to council in December. So when it came on the agenda in January, he was no longer a council member, so he was not present to be able to make a motion. So what happened is a number of you council members took upon those motions yourselves on his behalf, since he was no longer a council member. So they were either sent to a committee, sent to the planning commission, or dealt with by council. So no motion just disappeared. they were dealt with by the council in some way. Thank you.
Public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 14B, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in one or more series, tax exempt or taxable, in an amount not to exceed $93 million to fund the acquisition, construction, equipment, rehabilitation, and improvement of certain capital projects and to refund all or a portion of certain of the county's outstanding general obligation bonds, authorizing the county administrator to prescribe the details of the issuance and sale of the bonds and the form and details of the bonds, providing for the disposition of the proceeds of the bonds and the payment of the bonds and other related matters. That public hearing is now opened. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we had one individual sign up, Bill Malinowski.
Present?
No, sir, he left, but he's the only individual that signed up to speak this evening.
That public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 14C, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Annette Holdings, Inc., previously identified as Project Truck, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. That public hearing is now open. Madam Vice Chair, anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, one individual, Donna Cole. Donna Cole.
My name is Donna Cole. I reside at 209 Amenity Road in Chapin, South Carolina, 29036. You'll have to forgive me. Apparently, I put my name on the wrong sheet. I was on the amendments. So I did send an email to all of you, and I hope you had the opportunity to read it in response, and appreciate the time to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes all individuals.
Public hearing is now closed. Next item on the agenda is item 15, approval of consent items. Ms. Newton, are you available? All right, you recognize Councilman Pugh? Ms. Newton, you're recognized.
It's okay. I'll let Mr. Pugh make the motion.
Please, Councilman Pugh.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 15A through C.
Second. Second.
Properly second. All right, so that's non-debatable. So Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Brenham. Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Yes. Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Point of person, I think there was
Recognized.
going to be a representative here tonight from Project Truck. And that individual wanted to speak briefly to county council. I have not seen him yet. I don't know whether he showed up or not, but I need to know whether or not Mr. Webb will able to show up tonight. That project we just approved, and he just want to make some comments on that.
No, no. We are not on that item right now.
Items 15C.
Oh, I apologize. I thought it was on 15.
So where are you? Which item were you thinking of?
I was referring to the economic development item
16B.
15.
B. Okay, we're not there yet. Does item 15C need to be reconsidered?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Motion to reconsider 15C.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
No.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Livingston. Teratio.
Just reconsider it.
Correct.
For 15C.
Weaver.
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English. No. Newton.
No.
Madam Clerk, Mr.
No.
Okay. We'll make note. Motion fails.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item 16A, third reading item, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in one or more series, tax exempt or taxable, in an amount not to exceed $93 million to fund the acquisition, construction, equipment, rehabilitation, and improvement of certain capital projects and to refund all or a portion of the county's outstanding general obligation bonds, authorizing the county administrator to prescribe the details of the issuance and sale of the bonds and the form and details of the bonds, providing for the disposition of the proceeds of the bonds and the payment of the bonds and other related matters. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? Mr. Weaver, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one question I have, is this the same issuance of bonds we did for DSS and Alvin S. Glenn? I thought that was 88 million. This is 93
Well,
million.
this is up to 93 million.
Up
It's
to
Up
93.
to 93 million. I believe what was shared with us by administration was that they intend to only use 71 million because there's already 15 million, I believe, coming from ARPA funds, which gets you up to 86 million. So, more likely than not, we will not be using, the remainder.
Okay.
So whatever the difference is between 71 and 93, I guess that's 18 million. More likely than not, we're.
Okay, but it's
we
that
won't
same
use it.
bonds we've already discussed two
That's
readings.
correct. So this is
This
the
is
third
reading.
reading
Okay,
for it.
I'm
That's
good with
correct.
it. That's good.
That's correct. I do have a question, Mr. Brown, and I'm not sure if this is a question for you or a question for Ms. Thomas. But we are using our debt millage to pay, for this bond, right?
That's correct. Our existing debt millage,
Our
correct.
existing debt millage, I think our debt millage, I think it goes up to 10 mills, right?
That's correct.
And I think this is about 2 or 2.5 mills that we're using, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess based on the value
Give or
of the
take based on the value, about 2.5 mills, when Ms. Thomas is nodding her head. And if I also understand correctly, if we don't use the millage, it's almost as if you don't use it, you lose it, right? This debt that we've already paid down. And so we have debt millage that is available to us, and if we don't use it, in other words, at some point, the auditor would have the option of, I guess, reducing our debt millage, which would in effect reduce, I guess, property taxes, right?
correct. That is a good assessment. Yes, sir.
Okay, understood. All right, any additional questions? Comments? All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Consideration needed on this item.
Yes, sir.
I entertain a motion.
For reconsideration.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
No.
Pugh.
No.
McBride.
No.
Livingston.
No.
Teratio.
No.
Weaver.
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Item on the agenda is item 16B, authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Annette Holdings, Inc., previously identified as Project Truck, to provide for payment of a fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. I entertain a motion.
I move, Mr. Chair, that I'll get to the item that I was trying to get to before time.
Second? Is there a second? I'm looking for a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Mr. Livingston?
Well, I want to carry the motion first, then recognize Mr. Jason Webb.
No additional discussion. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Motion for reconsideration.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
No.
Pugh.
No.
McBride. Livingston. Teratio.
No.
Weaver.
No.
Barron. Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English. Newton.
No.
Motion fails.
Livingston, you recognized?
Recognize Mr. Jason Webb.
Recognizing him, or are you asking him to address the?
He wanted to briefly testify.
Would that be appropriate under the rule? Order.
I would entertain a motion from council to consider it.
Motion?
I'll make the motion. Mr. Livingston, you want him to be able to speak? Is that?
Yes. Acknowledge.
Well, he requested an opportunity to speak, so.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
What's the motion? Motion to?
Invite this honored guest to come speak on this subject. That's my motion. If Mr. Livingston would like it.
Now we up for discussion. As part of discussion, Mr.
Mr. Webb,
Wright,
would it be better if you just sent can you send us a letter or whatever? Thank you. I withdraw a motion.
All right.
I humbly withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman.
My second, yeah.
Next item on the agenda is item 17, second reading items. 17A, an ordinance to adopt the text amendment recommendations of the Richland County Planning Commission to the 2021 Land Development Code, which will regulate development in the unincorporated areas of Richland County. I entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? You recognize Ms. Mackey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe during our last meeting where we had a work session, I had additional questions for staff related to electric vehicle charging stations and language that was changed. And so on page 228 of our packet, staff worked along with the consultant to address edits to the proposed text that addressed my questions and added a little bit more clarity and specificity to the actual EV charging stations. And so I would like to point that out. And so moving forward, I'm supporting the amendments with this additional change to that text.
Mr. Chair.
So, Ms. Mackey, I guess my question is, statement.
So from my understanding, it doesn't necessarily require anything else different, but I am happy to make a substitute motion.
Well, I'm not asking,
Okay.
I'm just trying to, I was trying to just understand where we were going with that, if you were making a motion or just making an
I
observation.
wanted to point out that it was a topic that was brought up at the last meeting, so everyone knows that staff did address it and that language had been changed, because I don't think it was called out that the change had been made. So I wanted to make sure that folks understood
Okay.
the change to the text.
Understood. Councilman Branham, and then Ms. Terracio, and then I'm going to recognize Mr. Jensen.
I was just going to offer as the original movement that I could accept the friendly amendment. Does that work?
Well, the vice chair just informed me that she was not making a motion, but was more so just a recognition that a concern that she had expressed had been addressed. So that's my understanding of what she just communicated.
Mr. Chair, since the original document was presented to the public, if there's a change, there does need to be some motion to change it.
So there needs to be a motion.
Yes.
All right, so before I get to you, Mr. Terracio, is there a motion?
Who's going to make the motion
You
or
want to make the
second
motion,
it?
Mr. Terracio?
Sure.
Okay.
I move that we accept these modifications to the electric vehicle charging station requirements.
Second.
All right, so this is a what, substitute motion? Because the motion that's on the floor right now is so this is a substitute motion. All right, so moved and properly second. Now we have a discussion on the substitute motion. Mr. Branham, well, we got some sidebar conversations going, so any Discussion regarding Ms. Mackey's substitute motion. All right, Mr. Jensen, you're recognized.
Almost lost it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. Very briefly, what I understand is that the substitute motion is to grant second reading with all of the changes that are recommended by the Planning Commission brought forward, with the substitution of page 228, which deals with electric vehicle quantities, and that's for an urban style project. So that is what I understood the motion to be, and I want to make sure that everybody agrees that that's what it is.
I understand it.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
We're still discussing 7A. Record that I know that I will vote for this, but prior to everything on my colleagues, I will be making a few recommended changes based on comments tonight.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride, Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, next item on the agenda is 17B, authorizing the expansion of the boundaries of the I-77 Corridor Regional Industrial Park, jointly developed with Fairfield County to include certain property located in Richland County. The execution and delivery of a public infrastructure credit agreement to provide for public infrastructure credits to a company identified for the time being as Project Ori and other related matters. I entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? Being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride, Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
I'm recusing myself due to my parent company representing the applicant.
noted. English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is 17C, case number 23-039MA. Name of the applicant, Alonzo Haynes Jr. This is a request to change the zoning designation from rural to Office Institute District. Location 1849 Willoughby Street, TMS number R19707-01-06. Entertain a motion.
Approve.
Second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride, Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey, English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 18, report of the Economic Development Committee that will be given by the Honorable Paul Livingston. Councilman Livingston, you recognize, sir.
So we have item 18 on the agenda, which is item 18A, resolution requiring certain accountability practices concerning economic development projects in Richland County. You find that on page 256 through 259. There's a slight amendment to that. Ms. McBride, do you have that amendment?
Yes, sir. On page 256, section 2, regarding minimum requirements for the information, we needed to add race, gender, and county. That's section 2 on page 256.
Recommendation with that amendment.
Heard the recommendation of the committee. Any questions, comments? You recognize Mr. Recio.
Thank you. Ms. McBride, I heard race, gender, and
The county, because this is where.
Account.
County they live in.
Oh. Okay, county of residence. Got it.
You recognize Mr. Brown.
It's the race, gender, and county of residence of every employee? Is that it?
Yes, for the incentives.
Go through receiving this.
Just for the incentives. This is accountability.
Any additional discussion? Or take the vote.
Brenham,
Nope.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride? Yes. Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Newton? Motion approved.
Item on the agenda, I'm sorry, Mr.
That completes the
Livingston.
report of the Economic Development Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next item on the agenda is item 19, report of the Detention Center Ad Hoc Committee, which will be provided by the Honorable Derek Pugh. Councilman Pugh, you recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 items for action. Item 19A, the Detention Ad Hoc Committee recommends that council approves the contract award for detainees food service to Trinity Service Group, Inc. And the committee recommends approval.
Recommendation of the committee. Questions or? None? Madam.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Newton? Motion approved.
All
right.
You have the floor, Count.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 19B, the Detention Ad Hoc Committee recommends the approval for the contract to be awarded for Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center's Attorney Visitation Center to Jim Cope. The Ad Hoc Committee recommends approval.
Recommendation of the committee. Questions? Discussion? None? Madam Clerk?
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion approved.
That completes the report from the Detention Center Ad Hoc Committee, sir. Yes, sir.
Next item on the agenda is item 20, report of the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee, which will be given by yours truly. 20A, award of construction, the Dirt Road Package O. The committee recommends approval of the award of the construction contract to Cherokee Inc. in the amount of $1,495,443.90. That amount does include a 10% contingency. The Dirt Road Package O comprises Howard Kugler Road in District 1, Sarah Matthew Road in District 7, Nathan Ridge Lane in District 10, and Jackson Road in District 10. And the committee recommends approval. Any questions or discussion? And I'll just tell you, Ms. Bennett and Ms. O'Kane, if this passes tonight, you cannot do a press conference soon enough in District 10 for these 2 dirt roads that are about to get paved. I will be Miss English's mouthpiece this evening on that. But any additional discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
McBride? Yes. Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Reconsideration needed on any of these items?
Move to reconsider.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Second.
Councilman.
Mr. Chair, I need reconsider.
1 second, everybody.
I need reconsideration for items 19A and B.
Well, how about this? How about we entertain a motion for reconsideration on items 19A, B, and 20A?
So moved, sir.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham?
No.
Pugh?
No.
McBride? Livingston?
No.
Teratio?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Barron?
No.
Walker?
No.
Mackey?
No.
English?
No.
Motion fails.
And that concludes the report of the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee. Next item on the agenda is 21, and I was going to ask for Ms. Newton, but Councilman Pugh, you seem to be on the roll this evening, so.
Sir, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 21A through C. No, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to approve items 21A through B.
E?
Well, you-
I'm sorry, B. It's getting late, sir.
I'll second.
E as in Eddie, right?
E is in Eddie.
I'll second it.
It's been moved to properly second. All right, any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized. Senator
just
Teresa.
for the good of people maybe watching at home, there are some other hospitality tax allocations that are in the works, and so hopefully those will appear on the next agenda.
Absolutely. Do vote it. There's no discussion. And Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Move for reconsideration.
Second?
Declaration, Ms. McBride, on
Yes,
items
ma'am.
21 with A and B.
All 21A through E.
Okay.
Eddie.
Oh, we don't need reconsideration for resolutions, right? So that's A, B, and C.
Actually, I don't believe you need it for C either, Ms. McBride, just A and B.
Oh, that's a resolution too. Okay, A and B.
Okay, so a second?
Second.
Moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride. No. Livingston.
No.
Teratio,
No?
Weaver,
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, and that's item 22, executive session. Don't you start, Mr. Livingston. Which really takes us back to items 8A, 8B rather, C, D, E as in Eddie, Councilman Pugh. So at this time, I entertain a motion to go into executive session for
moved.
items 8A, B, C, D, and E.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? For the record, it's, again, items 8, B, C, D, and E. I said A mistakenly, but it's B, C, D, and E. So Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham,
Yes?
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Weaver,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion approved.
All right, we're in executive session. Stay downstairs. Discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham. Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, let the record reflect that we went into executive session with respect to items 8B, C, D, and E pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70, and no action was taken, but instead we received legal advice and information with respect to those items. Recognize Councilman Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe it's appropriate now to make a motion to approve the recommendations of the county administrator along from the grievance committee.
Second.
Okay, moved to properly, that's item 8B. So that's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Would this item need to be reconsidered?
Move to reconsider?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Nope.
Pugh.
No.
McBride. No. Livingston.
No.
Teratio.
No.
Weaver.
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
No.
Motion fails.
Livingston, you recognized?
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize administrator to move forward with the letter reference the property USC.
Second.
Right to item 8E, moved to properly second. Any discussion? All right, you recognize Ms. McBride?
Chair, I would be voting no, but it's not because I don't support the university. I have issues with part of the process. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any additional discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride. No. Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
No.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Does that need to be reconsidered?
Yes, sir.
Second. Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
No.
Pugh.
No.
McBride. Yes. Livingston. No. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is item 23, motion period. First item is 23A. Ms. English, you recognize?
Yes, sir. Been asked several times, and I just move to rename the Hopkins Magistrate's Office located at 5425 Lower Richland Boulevard after the late Judge Clement L. Stalker.
Mr. Wright, I guess as in order for us to take this up tonight as a vote, we would have to vote unanimously for it to be considered, right? And if it's not a unanimous vote, then it goes, I can just send it to a committee.
That's correct.
All right. And then so really you vote twice. If we get a unanimous vote, then we can take it up and we vote again on the merits.
Correct.
All right. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved to properly second. Any discussion? Yeah, you recognize Ms. Mackey?
Thank you. Just to confirm, I guess, with the county attorney or administrator, we don't have any rules or processes on the books that require us to follow a certain path in order to rename buildings?
There is a code, a part of the county code that states how it is to be done, but this would fall in it. A late person, if you want to do that. But yes, there is a code that addresses it.
A vote yes for this tonight is not breaking any current codes or ordinances.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Also spoke with Judge Stroman regarding this, making sure that she was fine with this. And I just simply shared I didn't want to come in her house and just go in her refrigerator without asking any questions or asking permission, but gave her the opportunity to speak freely, and she was okay with this. So I just wanted the council members to understand and know that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Those council members, I recognize, our Chief Magistrate, Judge Stroman, earlier this evening, but she's also the magistrate for Hopkins as well. So, Ms. McBride, you recognize?
I'm good.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, and so now the vote would be, on the merits of the motion or the request. And so at this time, I guess I entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
It's moved to properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Consideration necessary?
Yes.
Move to reconsider?
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Branham.
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride. No. Livingston. Teratio.
No.
Weaver.
No.
Barron.
No.
Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
No.
Motion fails.
Next item on the agenda is 23B, Councilman Weaver. I can tell you this is not going to get unanimous support.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I move that council establish written guidelines regarding the number of proclamations and acknowledgement resolutions that can be presented at county council meetings. Thank you. I just feel like, Mr. Chairman, we just need some written rules on this. We may not all agree, but at least we'll have a path going forward in writing.
Well, so the motion is on the floor, so understand, Councilman Weaver, this would be a vote on whether or not we can consider it tonight, and if that vote is not unanimous, then it will I'll send it to a committee. Okay. It's been moved to properly second by Ms. McBride, and so you recognize Mr. Racio.
Thank you. I was just going to say that I will join Mr. Weaver in this motion. So if it ends up in committee, I'll add my name to it.
Recognize Mr.
And no matter what we vote on tonight, it still will have to go to a committee because it clearly says to establish written guidelines. You can't do that without doing something with it.
I understand it goes without saying, but it's still on as a motion. I don't know what council's intentions would have been tonight, so. But nevertheless, I appreciate it. Any additional discussion on this item?
So what are we voting on now?
Well, the vote is whether or not we're gonna take it up tonight or not. That's the vote.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Carrillo, it's getting late. Please take this vote.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Teratio.
No, I'm just voting no on it for tonight.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Walker.
No.
Mackey.
No.
English.
Yes.
Motion fails.
I'm gonna send this to Rules and Appointments. All right, 24.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Move to properly second as non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Branham.
Yes.
Yeah,
Pugh.
get out of here. This is very
Yes.
non-debatable.
McBride. Livingston.
Yes.
Said yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron. Yes. Walker.
No.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Motion approved.
That's on the record. We are adjourned.